You know that feeling, right? That slow burn of frustration when a small annoyance from a neighbor just keeps happening.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a car parked just a little too far over the line, or maybe a dog that barks relentlessly at 3 a.m. It starts innocently enough, but then it builds, and you find yourself wondering, what do I do about this? When does a minor inconvenience become like a boundary worth defending?
Indeed. On paper, property lines seem so clear, don't they? A neat division of space.
Right.
But in reality, they often become these invisible battlegrounds for our sanity. We're talking about those moments where the usual friendly tactics just aren't cutting it.
Yeah, the polite requests fail.
Exactly. And you start searching for solutions that are, let's say, a little less conventional, maybe even colorful.
Well, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into an absolutely wild story from our sources about one individual who pushed the boundaries of neighborly dispute resolution to a truly unexpected extreme.
It sounds like quite the tale.
We'll follow their journey from escalating frustration and bureaucratic dead ends to an unforgettable and, frankly, pretty hilarious act of turf defense.
And this isn't just a tale of petty grievances, right? It's a fascinating study in human ingenuity under pressure.
Definitely.
And the limits of formal systems and, well, the surprising effectiveness of a well-timed, non-toxic explosion of color.
Exactly. You'll hear about specific attempts, unexpected turns, and what it truly means to win when all politeness fails.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our story centers around a man named Walter and his nemesis, who our sources call Karen Dubboy. A bit of a mouthful, I know.
Okay.
The core issue. Karen treated Walter's meticulously maintained yard like her personal shortcut.
Ah, the classic shortcutter.
Yes, cutting diagonally across his fescue grass every single day at 3:05 p.m. She'd march straight through, trampling flowers, all to save.
Yeah.
Get this. Walter actually measured it.
He timed her.
He did. To save a mere 5 seconds, tops, off her walk.
5 seconds. What's fascinating here is how quickly a seemingly minor inconvenience, like someone walking on your grass, can become a major source of stress.
Especially when it's daily.
Exactly. When it's a daily intentional disregard for boundaries. And that immediate dismissive reaction you mentioned earlier, that's crucial.
How so?
It shifts the dynamic from just a simple boundary dispute to a personal affront. It can trigger what some psychologists call reciprocity of disrespect.
Reciprocity of disrespect, okay.
So Walter isn't just defending his grass anymore. He's now defending his dignity against what feels like a perceived insult. And that significantly escalates the emotional stakes for him.
That's such a critical point. So it's not just the act itself, like the footstep on the grass.
Right.
It's the message that dismissal sends. Does that immediate invalidation then push people towards more extreme, almost retaliatory measures, even if they start out entirely reasonable?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. When our reasonable requests are met with outright disregard, it feels like an attack, right? An attack on our personal space and our right to even assert boundaries.
Yeah, look, my request doesn't even matter.
Precisely. And Walter's initial approach was completely reasonable, really. He tried the friendly route, caught Karen mid-stride, smiled, politely asked her to stick to the sidewalk because he was trying to grow some grass there. You know, the good neighbor approach.
The standard play.
But Karen's response, a blank look, a shrug, and a dismissive, "Oh, Walter, don't be ridiculous. It's just grass, and this way's faster."
Oof, don't be ridiculous.
That casual dismissal often fuels a deeper feeling of disrespect. It turns that minor annoyance into a personal affront and just sets the stage for escalation.
So politeness failed. Miserably. Walter then escalated to what he hoped would be a gentle deterrent. He put up a cute, "Please keep off the grass" sign.
Okay, the sign approach.
Had a little gnome waving, planted right in her path.
Yeah.
Next day, vanished.
What?
Not broken, not knocked over, just gone. He later spotted it sticking out of her yard waste bin.
Wow. Okay, that's not subtle. That kind of passive-aggressive move, like the disappearing gnome, it feels designed to escalate frustration.
Totally.
When even a clear, polite visual cue is actively removed, it signals a deeper disregard. It's almost an intentional undermining of Walter's attempts to establish a boundary.
Like she's deliberately provoking him.
It's not just a sign disappearing, it's the message that Karen is actively choosing to reject his request and maybe even mock his efforts.
Absolutely. So Walter moved on to physical barriers, but still pretty low-key. He bought some low decorative fencing about a foot high.
A little border fence?
Yeah, and lined it along her usual shortcut path. He admitted it looked a bit ridiculous, but, he's getting desperate.
Understandable.
He watched from his window as Karen approached, paused for like half a second, then without missing a beat, hiked her leg right over it like she was clearing Olympic hurdles.
Oh, come on. Just stepped over
Like
it.
it wasn't even there.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see Walter exhausting all the conventional low-conflict options. He's trying to maintain civility while clearly communicating his wishes.
Right, he's playing by the rules.
And when those fail, he even tried the official channels for resolution. He wrote to the HOA.
Yeah.
Included photos, a full explanation, hoping for some kind of intervention.
And their response?
A masterpiece of uselessness, as our source put it, basically. We encourage neighbors to resolve property disputes through communication.
Which means?
Effectively, good luck, buddy, you're on your own.
Talk about feeling abandoned. For one tiny moment, he even thought about calling the police. He actually called the non-emergency line.
Pity!
Yeah. He asked the dispatcher, where's the line? The dispatcher was polite but firm. Unless Karen was actively damaging property or refusing to leave, it was purely a civil matter.
So trespassing isn't enough unless there's damage.
Apparently not in this case.
Yeah.
They weren't posting a lawn guard, as the dispatcher put it.
Right.
That feeling our source described, being a suburban Wile E. Coyote up against a roadrunner who couldn't be stopped, I think anyone who's dealt with a persistent, low-level annoyance can instantly connect with that sense of, well, futile effort.
That's the point where individuals often feel caught, between a rock and a hard place. The systems designed to maintain order effectively tell you that this kind of persistent, low-level violation falls into a gray area they won't touch.
Right, not our problem.
And this lack of institutional support, it just amplifies that feeling of disrespect. It pushes people towards more creative, often less conventional solutions because they feel they have no other recourse.
They're left to their own devices.
Exactly. It highlights how often these disputes become less about the actual object, the grass, and more about perceived power and respect.
With official avenues completely exhausted, Walter turned to less conventional ideas. He even consulted his buddy Dave over beers.
Ah, the friend brainstorm session.
Dave suggested getting a big dog. Tempting, sure.
A visual deterrent.
But Walter worried the HOA would fine him for intimidating animals before the dog even barked once.
That highlights the constraints, right? The neighborhood regulations, even seemingly innocent solutions like getting a pet can have unintended consequences.
Or lead to further bureaucratic headaches.
Exactly. Forcing individuals to think outside the box, but still within a very specific set of community rules. Walter's problem wasn't just Karen, it was the entire ecosystem of rules he had to navigate.
Okay, so no dog. Then they tried motion-activated sprinklers. Sounds promising, right? A little surprise shower.
A common tactic.
But Karen complained, and Walter promptly received a water nuisance warning.
Oh, of course. She complained about the sprinklers.
Yep. Loud noise and bad smells were brainstormed as deterrents, but immediately dismissed. Too high a probability of further HOA fines.
Okay, so sprinklers led to a warning. Loud noises or bad smells were immediately out. But was it just about the fines, or was something else going on in Walter's thinking at this point?
That's a great question. What do you think?
Well, it speaks to Walter's evolving strategy, I think. He realized conventional annoyances like noise or smell, while maybe effective,
Are easily traced.
easily traced, provable violations, they'd just lead to more fines and more formal complaints, dragging him right back into the bureaucratic mess he was trying to escape.
Right. He's trying to get out of that loop.
So he was now looking for a solution that was impactful, yes, but also non-damaging and crucially difficult to directly pin on him as a punishable offense.
Plausible deniability.
Sort of. It marked a pivot towards a more guerrilla style of deterrence, leveraging ambiguity and maybe a touch of that deniability. He needed something effective, but technically harmless.
Precisely. So it wasn't just about avoiding fines. It was a shift in strategy entirely, moving from direct deterrence to something more psychological.
Exactly. He's looking for a psychological deterrent, a mild social cost, if you will, and that's where his true innovation came in.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The aha moment, according to Walter, came in the form of color. Specifically, those crazy bright powders used in color runs and holy festivals.
Oh, the cornstarch powder?
Exactly. He realized they were non-toxic, washed off easily, but had the potential to stain your dignity for the day.
Stain your dignity. I like that.
What if her shortcut became a rainbow obstacle course? Not dangerous, just unforgettable.
What stands out here is the pivot from physical barriers or direct deterrence to a purely psychological one.
Right.
The goal is no longer to physically stop Karen, but to make the act of trespassing so personally inconvenient or embarrassing that she chooses to stop.
Persuasion through social cost.
Yes, a very clever and surprisingly effective approach when traditional methods fail. I was thinking purely about physical barriers, but you're saying Walter's tree innovation was moving into social psychology, making the act itself personally unappealing to Karen rather than physically impossible?
That's how we saw it, yeah. A reframe.
That's a fascinating reframe.
So, armed with his colorful vision, Walter plunged into late-night Google searches. DIY powder traps.
Oh, this sounds like a rabbit hole.
Totally. He found a whole world of pressure plates, cornstarch powder in neon colors, even little KO's cartridges for a nice puff effect. He was basically MacGyver, if MacGyver fought passive-aggressive neighbors instead of, international spies.
The level of detail and planning involved in this rainbow obstacle course is quite remarkable. 6 distinct traps, you said.
6 traps, each a different color, all engineered to fire when stepped on.
Wow.
This wasn't just a spontaneous act of frustration. It was a carefully constructed, non-violent response, tailored specifically for that psychological impact.
He's taking the petty and elevating it to an art form, really, a kind of performance art protest.
But burying them without looking suspicious. That was tricky.
Right. How do you install 6 powder traps in your lawn?
Enter Mudslide Mike, the local landscaper. Walter flagged him down with a story about soil compaction issues right on that specific diagonal strip.
Okay, a cover story.
And a request to bury his experimental wireless soil sensors.
Soil sensors. That look like powder traps?
Apparently. Mike was understandably skeptical. He even said, "These things are pretty big for sensors." But with payment in hand, he complied.
Huh. This clever deception allowed Walter to implement his plan under the guise of legitimate lawn care. It adds a layer of humor and intrigue to the setup.
Definitely.
The stage was now perfectly set for the grand unveiling. Walter had thought through not just the mechanism, but also the installation. Every step meticulously planned.
To avoid direct confrontation and, crucially, direct provable wrongdoing.
Exactly.
So the moment arrived. Walter, coffee in hand, watched from his window, heart racing like I was pulling off the world's dumbest heist.
I can imagine the anticipation.
Right on schedule. Here came Karen at 3:05 p.m., power walking, visor on, chatting on her phone, totally clueless.
Head in the clouds or on the phone?
Then it happened. First step onto the path. Step. Poof. Neon pink cloud covering her shoe and calf.
Yes.
She stopped mid-sentence, confused. Shakes her foot. Takes another step.
Oh, no.
Step. Poof. Electric blue.
He got her again.
Now she tries to sidestep. Sidestep. Poof. Lime green.
Oh, it was a minefield.
By then, she looked like she fought a unicorn and lost. That was Walter's description.
That is brilliant. This immediate, visible, and harmless consequence is the core of the plan's genius.
It really is.
It's surprising, undeniably attention-grabbing, and achieves that desired dignity staining without actual physical harm or property damage.
And the source mentioned Walter let out a tiny giggle that escaped.
Pure human nature. A moment of catharsis for Walter, and probably for anyone listening who's ever felt similarly wronged. It's the visual spectacle and the public nature of the stain that makes it so effective.
So Karen, trailing rainbow dust, stormed straight to Walter's door, shrieking, "Walter Schmidt, your lawn attacked me!"
Your lawn attacked me! Oh, that's rich!
Walter, playing perfectly innocent, replied, "Karen, my goodness, did you fall into a rainbow?"
Oh, the faux innocence.
And then casually suggested, maybe the neighborhood kids. He admitted he was grinning ear to ear the whole time.
Operation Color Cloud was a total success in Walter's eyes, right? It achieved its immediate objective.
Absolutely. But the fallout, predictably, came fast.
I bet.
Karen called everyone HOA, police. Walter joked, probably NASA.
This is where we see the broader implications, though. While Walter got his immediate win,
his actions initiated a cascade of official responses. Brenda from the HOA called.
Brenda is back.
Yep. Noting Karen looks like she wrestled a unicorn and lost, but demanding action. It shows that even a harmless act, if it's unconventional enough,
can lead to significant official headaches and community disruption.
Yeah. Walter received a flurry of violation notices, public nuisance, hazardous materials, which was ridiculous.
It was cornstarch and food coloring, right?
Exactly. Unapproved subsurface devices. And my personal favorite, non-uniform lawn color.
Non-uniform lawn color. They really threw the book at him.
He responded by sending Brenda the ingredient list, just cornstarch and food coloring. But Brenda, he noted, wasn't amused.
Yeah, this highlights the legal and administrative complexities, while the materials themselves were harmless.
The method was the issue.
The method of deployment raised questions about public safety and HOA compliance. Officer Miller, the police officer who subsequently visited.
Oh, the police did come?
They did. He confirmed it wasn't strictly illegal, but warned Walter about civil liability if, say, a kid or the mailman tripped one of the devices.
Okay, potential lawsuit angle.
But then, crucially, Officer Miller turned to Karen, who was still apparently glaring from her porch.
Still watch it.
And told her directly, stay off Mr. Schmidt's property, use the sidewalk.
Wow. So the police did end up drawing that line for him.
Just not in the way Walter initially expected. It took the Rainbow Mines to get them there.
The neighborhood gossip storm, as you can imagine, was legendary.
I bet.
Half the neighbors thought Walter was a genius. The other half acted like he'd invented chemical warfare. Kids even started daring each other to run through the yard.
Oh no, it became an attraction.
His lawn became a local legend. Meanwhile, HOA fines piled up, and Karen's lawyer sent a letter demanding payment for her ruined shoes and emotional distress.
Emotional distress from cornstarch. Okay. Despite the cost and the chaos, though, Walter's primary objective was achieved, wasn't it?
It was. For 2 glorious weeks, Karen detoured around his lawn like it was cursed.
So it worked. It illustrates the effectiveness of an unconventional, high-impact deterrent, even if it brings its own set of problems and temporary community upheaval.
It's a classic example of an individual pushing boundaries to reclaim their own.
Despite the broader repercussions, yeah.
Ultimately, though, the hassle outweighed the fun, the fines, the warnings, the constant low-level anxiety about accidentally powdering the mailman.
It became too much.
Yeah. One night, Walter eventually dug up the mines, filled the holes nice and neat, and emailed the HOA. Subject: experimental nutrient sensors removed.
He stuck to the cover story.
He did, with no apology, no confession.
And the resolution, in the end, a silent truce.
Pretty much.
The HOA, probably tired of the whole affair, waived the fines after Walter promised no more unauthorized subsurface devices.
Okay, a deal.
And Karen finally just went back to the sidewalk and stayed there.
Right.
This demonstrates that sometimes the battle isn't about crushing the opponent. It's about establishing and finally getting respect for boundaries, even if it requires a temporary, colorful escalation to make the point undeniably clear.
The true victory wasn't in court, maybe.
No, it was in restoring that sense of personal control and ultimately peace.
So Walter's journey from polite requests to rainbow landmines to fines and finally to a silent truce, quite the ride.
Absolutely.
His moral of the story, in his own words: I won't win Neighbor of the Year. It was petty, expensive, maybe even a little nuts.
He admits it.
But after every reasonable option failed, it worked. Sometimes to fight petty, you've got to get petty yourself.
What's fascinating here is the lengths individuals will go to for peace within their own property. It really makes you think.
About what?
About the limits of civility, you know. The effectiveness of unconventional tactics when formal systems fail you, and the true psychological cost of winning a neighborly dispute.
It's not just about a lawn.
Not at all. It's about the psychological toll of feeling disrespected and that very human drive to reclaim personal boundaries when all else fails, even if it means temporary chaos.
An ingenious way indeed. But at what cost? Walter mentions the fines, the anxiety. Is there a point where peace of mind becomes too expensive?
That's the question, isn't it?
Or it potentially creates more long-term animosity, even if the immediate problem is solved? For you, the listener, what are your boundaries? What's the 5-second shortcut in your life that pushes you to the brink?
We all have one.
And when all conventional methods fail, what lengths would you go to defend your turf creatively? How do we balance that urgent need for personal peace with the desire for community harmony when pushed to the limit? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.
Indeed. Perhaps the true victory isn't always in being the conventionally good neighbor, but in finding an ingenious, if unconventional, way to restore your peace of mind and ultimately establish a lasting, if silent, respect for your space.